We've got a massive news update for you today, so let's jump right into it. Canadian CPI numbers came out even lower than expected, with Canada's new inflation rate dropping down to 5.9%. Canada's monthly retail sales came out as expected at 0.5%. This morning, flash service PMI and flash manufacturing PMI numbers came out for France, Germany, the UK, and the US. Overall, the Euro flash manufacturing PMI came out a little lower than expected at 48.5, but flash service PMI came out higher at 53. For the UK, both flash service and manufacturing came out higher than expected, with the services PMI coming out at 53.3 and manufacturing PMI at 49.2. The US PMI numbers were similar, with both flash service PMI and flash manufacturing PMI coming out higher than expected. Flash services came out at 50.5 and manufacturing at 47.8. Later today, the Reserve Bank of New Zealand will release their monetary policy statement and hold a press conference afterwards to discuss their decision. The monetary policy statement is forecasted to raise 50 basis points up to 4.75%. All right, everybody, let's go ahead and head into the market heat map. We're going to start off by checking out how all of our assets are trending so far today. So if you're familiar with the Edge Finder, you'll notice that we have a slightly different look to our market heat map. We have removed all of our major indices and given them their own little section right up top. And I'll go ahead and tell you why we did that. It's because if you're familiar with the markets, you know that you can pretty much trade all of these currency pairs at pretty much any hour of the day. However, the indices work a little bit differently. You can only trade indices during a time that that country's markets are actually open. So for example, the US markets are US indices here, S&P 500, US 30, NASDAQ 100, are only available to trade while US markets are open. And that happens from 9:30 a.m. in the morning to 4 p.m. in the afternoon, and that is Eastern time. So 9:30 a.m. Eastern time to 4 p.m. Eastern time here in the US. Those are the only times that you can trade these US indices. So after that period or before that period, these numbers will stay the same. And so it kind of skews the results when it's down here. It doesn't really paint the actual picture of how the markets are trending when these numbers are kind of stuck with the market being closed. So we're actually working to add a little piece to tell you right here what time you can actually trade these indices, what time the markets are open, so that you know if it's actually going to be changing throughout the day or if it's stuck because the market is closed. So that is why we've removed the indices and given them their own little section right up here. But I can go ahead and say that with the US markets open right now, the US indices are performing pretty poorly on the day so far. S&P 500 down 1.39%, US 30 down 1.45%, and the NASDAQ 100 down 1.74%. I also want to go ahead and mention that all of these updates are coming free of charge when you have access to the A1 Edge Finder Pro. So we have actually introduced 3 versions of the Edge Finder. We have our completely free version of the Edge Finder that you can get access to right away. It is a very limited version of the Edge Finder, but you will have it for life if you get access to it, and it is completely free for you to try out the software and decide if you want to upgrade to, say, maybe the basic version, a brand new version of the Edge Finder that we have just introduced, coming in at a slightly lower price point. It is still a little bit limited. It doesn't have full access to everything that the A1 Edge Finder Pro does, but if you're working on a budget and you decide that you want the software but you don't want to go all the way to the A1 Edge Finder Pro, the basic is a great version to go ahead and get you started using the software, and you could potentially upgrade to the Pro at a later point in time. But again, of course, we have the A1 Edge Finder Pro that is the full version of the software, every single feature available, as well as every update and anything new that gets added, whether it's an update or a new feature, comes completely free of charge. You have the software for life. You will never have to pay for anything else once you buy the A1 Edge Finder Pro. And if you want to get the Pro or the basic version, you can get it at a discounted price when you use code A1YT. So again, code A1YT works to get you a discount on the A1 Edge Finder Pro or the basic version of the Edge Finder. And of course, the free version is completely free. You can find the links to all of that down in the description below. But let's go ahead and keep on looking at how our assets are trending so far today. So let's take a look at how our bullish assets are trending. USD ZAR, GBP AUD, GBP NZD, GBP JPY, GBP CHF, GBP CAD, and I'll even throw in GBP USD right here because it looks like all of our pound pairs are trending pretty well today. I mean, pretty much all of the pound pairs are up on the day so far. USD ZAR, however, is our biggest mover to the upside out of all of our assets, up 1.16%. What about on the bearish side? I can see Euro GBP, Aussie US, NZD US, Gold, Euro USD, and Aussie CAD shooting to the downside so far today. Euro GBP being the biggest mover to the downside out of our currency pairs, down 0.55% on the day so far. So it seems like Aussie dollar or Australian dollar pairs, US dollar pairs, and pound pairs are moving a lot so far today in the markets. Let's check out the watch list so we can get a look at our buy and sell biases. I'm going to remove the neutral biases and any indices or commodities that we might have. And there we go. So we are left with 4 buy biases and a whole list of sell biases, still a fair amount of strong sells. We've had a lot of strong sells in the Edge Finder recently. Euro USD, NZD USD, GBP USD, and Aussie USD currently listed as strong sells. USD CAD and USD ZAR listed as strong buys. So the US dollar is kind of dominating the strong bias category. Let's see, what pair do we want to break down today? However, we took a look at USD CAD yesterday ahead of this new CPI data release. If you want a full breakdown of USD CAD, it was still listed as a strong buy yesterday, so that information is still relevant. You can check out yesterday's video for a full breakdown of USD CAD. Again, we did that ahead of the CPI decision that happened this morning. And I know later on today, the Reserve Bank of New Zealand is releasing their new monetary policy statement. NZD USD is a strong sell bias, so perhaps we'll take a look at NZD USD ahead of this monetary policy decision. So let's take a look at this. NZD USD strong sell bias, score of -8. COT data and retail sentiment, both scores of -1, and we can break down those numbers right over here. So COT data, or institutional trader data, is currently favored long on the dollar, 64.74% long, 35.26% short. New Zealand dollar, however, institutional traders are kind of split in this decision. 55.98% long here, 44.02% short. So the reason that this doesn't have a stronger COT data score is because the New Zealand dollar is kind of neutral at the moment. If you're familiar with how we score the Edge Finder, both COT data and retail sentiment have to cross a 60%. They have to cross the 60% mark for us to decide whether it's leaning or biased one way or the other. So US dollar, clearly institutional traders are favored long on the US dollar, 64% here, but this is sitting a little too close to 50-50 for us. We want it to be clear and obvious if it's trending one direction or the other, whether it's long or short, and until it crosses that 60% mark, we can't say that it is clear and obviously trending towards the long side in this case, because it's only at 55.98%. So yes, you could say that there is slight bias towards the long side from institutional traders, but until it crosses 60%, we do not score it one way or the other. So that's why we're getting this -1 score here in the COT data area. Retail sentiment, on the other hand, again, crosses that 60% mark, 70% long here from the retail traders, 30% short. So again, retail traders favored long, definitely favored long on NZD USD at the moment, again giving us our -1 score here. Seasonality is a score of -1 as well, and you can see, again, if you're familiar with the Edge Finder, you can see that this used to be a line chart, but now we've changed it to a bar chart, just a little bit of a different look for you. In the month of February, however, it is shooting down just a little bit, meaning that over the last 10 years, historically speaking, NZD USD performs a little bit bearishly in the month of February. Not too much to make a big move like, say, in the month of September or August, but in the month of February, again, historically speaking, when we're looking at the 10-year average price point, how it finishes the month of January, historically speaking, it finishes a little bit lower than it came in at, and that seems to be the case so far this month, especially with this strong sell bias. If this continues to make moves to the downside as we close out the month of February, it will absolutely be consistent with what we see historically speaking. Our trend reading is a score of -2, and look at these moves to the downside. For the past week or so, it has just continued to move lower and lower and lower, and price forecast predicts that that will absolutely continue to be the case. We will see if this monetary policy decision for the New Zealand dollar makes any sort of drastic change to this pair, but that may or may not happen. Let's finish up with our fundamentals: GDP growth, inflation, in interest rates, all scores of -1. Unemployment is actually a 0 score. And we can look at those numbers right over here. So GDP growth in New Zealand, 2% compared to 2.9% in the US. New Zealand's inflation, 7.2% compared to 6.4% in the US. Both New Zealand and US unemployment rate currently at 3.4%. And lastly, interest rates for New Zealand. This is the number we're looking at. This is the number that will most likely be changed later on today. 4.25% interest rates in New Zealand, again expected to raise 50 basis points up to the 4.75% interest rates that we see here in the US. So something to keep your eye on to see if that does in fact happen later on today. But yeah, that was a breakdown of NZD USD, which is currently listed as a strong sell bias. In the Edge Finder, I'll remind you one more time that we do have those 3 new versions of the Edge Finder Pro, Edge Finder Basic, and the free version of the Edge Finder, all down in the description below for you to take a look at. And if you want a discount on the software, use code A1YT at checkout.
We'll pull up USD CAD for those of you guys watching it. I know this one, of course, is probably one of the more popular ones. Let's drop down to the 15-minute chart just to see if we can see a spike. We've got a few seconds here to go. And let's see if anything notable happens with CPI here for Canada. All right, a bit of a spike to the upside there. Look at that, dollar CAD shooting up here, and wow, what a spike! What is that on the 15-minute candle? That's 25 pips, pretty quick. That's a jump off of this support zone. So dollar CAD bulls, congrats. It's looking really strong so far. You've got dollar CAD. Is that moving? I'm going to be selfish here for a second and just look at dollar yen. Any movement for my dollar yen trade? Not really. However, that euro CAD trade might actually be setting up. Look at this, guys. Check it out. We might be taking a trade here on euro CAD on the sell side. I'd like to see how this candle closes, but we're going to watch this together. So again, going over this concept now that we're right back to euro CAD, we talked about basically price breaking to the downside here recently, right? Big push, but now pulling right back up into that level of resistance. And, you know, because it's a new spike, I'm not going to trade directly off of this. But as we retest this 61.8%, this 50% zone that I just got done talking about, if sellers are strong here, we would expect some reaction. So we'll watch this candle and see how things go from here. But overall, a big spike to the upside there here for us on euro CAD, and CAD pairs across the board here, making some moves. Pretty quick there. USD CAD is flying. Yeah, USD CAD made a jump there. Let's see if it can hold those gains. That's going to be the question. If you're looking at it off the 4-hour chart, yeah, the Edge Finder was bullish on this thing. I didn't want to take the trade before news. So, you know, because I find that to be sort of more of a gamble than anything else. I don't like to trade prior to the news, but the aftermath can be really, really great. Let's take a look and see what we've got for the numbers here, you guys. We're pulling up CAD CPI numbers came out at 0.5% compared to the expected 0.7%. CPI number, median CPI, 5% compared to 4.9. Trimmed CPI, 5.1 compared to 5.2. So it seems like overall a little bit of a disappointing number. Not to mention that retail sales numbers, common CPI, core retail sales, these numbers came out a bit disappointing here today, with comparing a minus 0.1% when in actuality came out at minus 0.6% for retail sales for Canada. So a little bit of disappointing numbers there for Canada. Now, of course, you know, inflation being lower is in some ways good for certain things, but also in terms of the Canadian dollar specifically, lower than expected inflation numbers are going to put less pressure on the Bank of Canada to do certain things like raise interest rates as fast, and can cause the Canadian dollar to be a bit weaker. So Euro CAD, again, we keep coming back to this one because I like it off the 1 hour chart, though I'm liking it less because it didn't hold this level very well. I was expecting some sort of spike into this area and rejection, which, to be fair, it's not over, right? This spike could sort of reverse and we could wick into this zone. I'd be still happy to potentially take the aftermath trade there if something like that can set up. Just going to be selfish looking at my dollar yen trade going off of this, and not too much volatility. I was curious to see if there would be any sort of spike or sympathy move due to the Canadian news. Did not see much there, which is fine by me. We continue to just hold on to that swing trade. That was a trading signal shared within our Discord channel. If you're not inside of our Discord channel, check it out. You can join it. We're going to drop a link in the chat right now. If you guys would like to join the free Discord channel, inside of the free section, you get access to daily ideas, news coverage, market analysis, some downloadable PDFs, some trading strategy guides, all sorts of stuff. And it is genuinely, there is 100% free value in our Discord. So if you'd like to check that out, we just dropped the link in the chat. My support team here behind the scenes just dropped that for you. Click that link, fill out the form, and you'll be sent to the Discord channel where you get lots of helpful free stuff. So don't miss out on that. Yeah, so that's where I'm at with the dollar yen trade. I like that Euro CAD trade, but again, it's gotta form a wick here. And if it doesn't form a wick, I'm just gonna leave it because I want to see this thing, understandably, this is a big spike to the upside. I want to see some sort of rejection, right? I don't want to see this thing just sort of fly back up without any hesitation. I want to see some pause. I want to see some rejection there. EuroCAD on the 4 hour chart. Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, this thing to me put in this lower high, right? It's been trending to the downside on the higher time frames off the daily chart, etc. Here's your daily view, right? And you can kind of see we've broken back. We had this upward trend, fell apart here, and now looking to see if we can put in another lower high. And I think part of the reason for that, guys, is that if you're looking at this thing, if you do catch this reversal, if this breakout actually lasts, and right now it's not looking too hot, if this breakout actually lasts and you roll over here and you do in fact catch that next lower high, you have a lot of potential there to make some really great risk to reward trades. So that's kind of why I have my eye on it, but I'm not loving the way this price action is forming so far. So I'm going to be pretty hesitant on EuroCAD.
Don't forget to check out the links in the description if you want our broker recommendation, access to our free Discord, free Edge Finder, or want to chat with us on Telegram. Remember, you can watch us live in the markets every morning starting at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and we have lots more free trading tools and content available on our website, a1trading.com. Thanks for watching.